edge of my seat over here.
Hey, have either of you guys almost ever died?
No. I almost got bit by a water moccasin once. I don't know if that would have killed me.
Got bit by a duck before.
I got attacked by a
little
goose.
less harrowing.
Was it silly?
That's more harrowing. That's the story where you almost died.
That was terrifying. And
Bobby, that's fucked. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that question.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's dark.
All right. How about this instead? How about tell me your favorite story about watching a movie with your parents.
Were they aware that I was watching it with them?
Let's say yes for this. Well, you know what? For this, go for it. Whatever you feel.
Okay. Can I go?
Please.
I don't know. Can you?
I wish you would.
Fuck both of you. So I remember watching Forrest Gump with my parents, and there's that part,
and they said, "Finally, you can see yourself in a movie."
Again, fuck you both.
Johnny was just Leonardo DiCaprio in the whole time. Like,
John looks over to his mom. Does he like me?
There's the part where Sally Field clearly is banging the principal of this school.
What happened? Well, no, I'm unfamiliar. What was going on?
She had sex with the principal to bribe him, essentially.
Was Forrest aware? What was Forrest doing?
Forrest was out on the front porch with a really vacant look on his face, which was much less the one that was on my face, because I was like, what the fuck is happening? What are those grunting sounds? And then, yeah. And then when he came out, the principal came outside, like, oh, boy, your mama sure cares about your education. And Forrest was like, I was even more confused.
And my how did your parents feel about that?
They provided no explanation.
Cool.
And we just watched the rest of the movie. But it wasn't until I watched that movie much later, and you obviously knew like what sex was. I was like, oh, okay.
2020 was a hell of a year, man.
You know, of the three of us, he's the only one who has documented proof of sexual intercourse.
That's true.
So,
he has proof.
Right, that's something. I have a similar one, so I would like to go next. I'm sorry, I kind of have two. One was when I was a little kid. I wanted to watch the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which is not the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie. This was the anime OVA one.
Oh, the same time Johnny was learning about his body. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And there's a part in that where Dr. Eggman breaks through. Actually, it might be called.
He says, "Boy, your mom sure does care about your education."
Close enough. He breaks into the president's office, and Sonic is being a real asshole to him and interrupting him during like his big evil plan thing. And Robotnik just turns around and says, "Shut up, eat me." And my parents were like, "What the fuck was that?" And I went, "What are you guys talking about?" And they're like, "Do you know what eat me means?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know. He just is upset with Sonic." And they're like, "Oh, okay. I guess we'll continue the movie then." Much later, when I learned what eat me was, I realized, oh, that was a little weird. That was not Jaleel White. That was not a Jaleel White joint. So
is that what Nintendo that means? Nintendo doesn't eat me.
That is what Genesis does. Yeah.
Nintendo.
The other one,
cause awkward conversations with your parents.
The other one, I was much older. I saw 300 in the theater with my parents, and he sure does bang his wife before he goes out to battle.
With abs like that, can't blame him.
And my parents, like on either side of me, are like, "This is I don't want to be here for this. Can we get back to the stabbing and the kicking people down wells? Like, why? I don't want this anymore."
Would a form of punishment for you in hell be like sitting forever in that theater?
Yeah, probably.
With a never-ending Spartan sex scene.
I do remember on the drive home, it was hey, that movie was pretty cool. Like, yeah, there's some cool stuff in there. So the sex scene. And we all just got really quiet and we're like, yeah.
Who brought it up?
All right.
Brought it up?
I'm not here to say fuck both you guys, but I'm gonna say fuck both you guys, and I'm gonna pull a Chase and bend the rules myself. I'm not going to talk about watching a movie with my parents because it's not as awkward as this. I had just gotten through my first day of orientation at my college, and I was in the art department. I was talking with my professor and the department head, and I was with a few of my friends, and we were going to go see a movie that night. We were both very excited to see this movie, and the professor, just making casual conversation, says, "Oh, you going to the movie? We're wrapping up here. We'll just go with you. What are you going to see?" And we go,
Yeah.
"We're going to go watch Superbad. Have you heard of it?" And they go, "No." I go, "Cool. Come on, let's go."
Great.
And so
Yeah. That movie has art.
well,
Lots of it.
so I
Really?
remember
Yeah.
we're watching
Very
this movie,
tasteful
and
art.
not to mention, I went to a very private college that I had to sign a lifestyle statement for that says basically I wouldn't fuck, smoke, or drink. And I
Abided by that, right?
I went by
Okay,
2/3 of those
that's-
rules. And it was great. But I remember it was me and my friends sitting in this theater, and behind us, directly behind us, was the department head and our professor. And it got to the scene about drawing the dicks. And I
Only like 10% of kids do it, okay?
I literally just felt myself fucking like I
Just,
look
crumple into yourself. Yeah.
I look over my shoulder, and one of them was cracking up. The other one was literally doing this.
These
and
fucking kids.
I start sweating. Like I'm sweating so
Yeah.
badly. And like I just get nervous, so I start eating. And I'm just like shoveling popcorn into my mouth, like looking over my shoulder at them. And at the end of the movie, the college head was just like, "You got very interesting taste." I was like, "Don't check my browser history."
I didn't know what it was about.
Anyway,
That's great.
Yeah.
I will say I have a worse story about a thing that I did in front of a college professor. And I will never tell that story unless I am real drunk.
We know what we're doing next week, folks.
Yeah.
It's October 17th. This is episode 347. It's a What You Been Playing episode. We are barreling down the path, and I'm going to tell you all right now, we've got like 7 episodes.
Don't do it. Don't.
7
God,
episodes before Game of the Year, you fuckers.
Stop it.
But tonight, we got to talk about the games that we may or may not talk about during that period of time, including a bunch of new updates and some news. And to kick things off, the sexual entrepreneur, Johnny Amizich.
What?
You're the one with the proof, baby.
Sexual? That makes me an entrepreneur all of a sudden? Like
You figured out some way to convince somebody to buy into your bullshit business, so...
and you didn't?
You've invested... I don't know.
Okay,
That's it.
Anyway,
that's all I got.
Johnny,
Stop it.
what have you been doing?
Bears, Bulls.
As I told you earlier today, when you're like, "Hey, what have you been playing?" I was like,
You mean when I was passively aggressively trying to get you to update your fucking note?
Yeah. I was like, Cyberpunk, Baldur's Gate, Street Fighter, nothing really new.
Boring.
And I came home. I was like, "Fuck, I gotta find something to play." And I was looking for more news from today to add into the story, and I saw that
You played yourself.
Megacrit, makers of Slay the Spire.
Hey, they've been in the news lately.
Yeah, they just put out a brand new game today.
Hot
they
damn.
They made it in 3 weeks using the is it Godot or Godot engine, that open source one?
Yes.
They put out a game that they slapped together in 3 weeks. It is an auto battler, but also
is it on anything that we can play on?
It's on itch.
Okay.
You can download it for free. They do not charge any money for it. You can't pay for this game.
That is what free means.
Consider donating to Godot instead. And the whole premise is you choose a character, and each character has their own set of cards that they start with that are like themed. And then you go on a run, and it's all auto, so you can just click it and let it go. And there are 7 rounds of duels that you try and get through. You can lose 3 times before you get game over. At the end of each battle, you pick 2 new cards. Every other battle, you pick a new boon essentially, to give you like plus 1 HP at every turn, or you can like there's an effect called dizzy, which I think you get if you play too many cards, like in one turn. I haven't quite figured out what all the mechanics are, and because they threw it together in 3 weeks, there's not like super in-depth explanations for everything.
Sure.
But I did 4 runs. I got to the last battle on one of them, and I think that you guys should download it and check it out. Chase,
I just downloaded
especially,
it.
I was thinking about, and it like some of it reminded me of like things that you would do in a Magic deck, because there's one character that can play trashed cards, which is like your graveyard essentially. When you trash a card, you can't use it again until the next round. And there's unique music for each of these characters. Some of them, there's the Groove Oracle, who is like those multicolored lights that's like red and green and blue, and it's like spins around.
Yeah,
the Spencer's
it's like
gift.
It's one of those with arms. There's an axe. There's a man with a disco ball that looks like an afro called Disco Dan. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 10 characters I think to choose from.
Can I ask a couple clarifying questions really quick on a few things? So I know we're going to talk about Mega Crit, and I had joked that they've been in the news lately. We've covered it a bit already, but we're going to talk more about Unity stuff, I think, maybe. But they basically said, even after the rollback that Unity did, they're like, fuck you all. Was this the game that they had been developing on Unity that they moved over?
No, they did this because they wanted to explore the Godot engine.
So this is more of a proof of concept almost for them than it is anything else.
Absolutely.
I mean, on the itch page, it says a 3-week game jam by the Mega Crit team, just to explore this new engine.
Quote, recent events.
And you also shared that they were talking about donating to Godot, which I think is interesting, because I've also been hearing that much like Blue Sky, in the wake of some of the Twitter stuff, they've been crashing quite a bit due to the basically refugee nature of people jumping ship over to it. I like that they're trying to make a case for this. So I think that's important.
And the Terraria group, the dev, they gave a ton of money to this engine, and I think they've even said like, oh, by the way, we're going to keep doing that too, as long as they promise not to do the shitty things that. So
is this is this the destination you guys think for where a lot of these folks are going to go?
This is the Blue Sky of indie development.
It is it's open source.
Okay.
And I think I don't know how long it's been around. But I think in the wake of all the Unity stuff, a lot of people were looking to Godot and other alternative smaller companies that
I don't know if people would want to do this, but it looks like there's a Mac, Windows, and even a Linux version. If you happen to have a Steam Deck, you can download this directly natively onto your Steam Deck and play it via the Linux version there, which might give you a pretty good experience if you're looking to play this on the go.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
I think that's one of the cool things about the engine, is that it can output to those.
Yeah, for sure.
Similar to Unity, like a lot of the reasons people use Unity is that it was able to port to a lot of different platforms, and some of these other places are doing that too.
Totally, that's cool, man. I love when things get quickly released like this, and I like that this is almost kind of a fuck you at the same time,
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that.
And it's also, I think,
Bobby loves Spite. He's just the biggest fan of Spite.
Oh, there's a whole page. Is the Jump Ship Jam for those that are looking to leave Unity? Is that what that's for? I'm seeing a link at the top of this page now. Rate for Jump Ship Jam. I wonder if that's for folks leaving Unity, moving to a new platform.
Yeah, I would imagine it is. Yeah, it does say this is a submission for it. So
that's cool. Maybe we can we'll maybe highlight that in some way, shape, or form. I think that's a pretty cool thing to bring attention to.
And just I played it for about 40 minutes or so. And
to be fair, the
a lot of fun.
Jump Ship Jam says, curious to set sail in uncharted waters, your mission, craft a game using an entirely new to you engine or tool based on our announced theme. And the theme is strength in numbers. So Unity could be the new engine that you use, or probably won't be.
I kind of doubt. Yeah.
Somebody could do it if they wanted to, but
they could.
That's hysterical.
Not.
Yeah,
that's cool,
aside
man.
from that,
that might be cool for Bobby and I to play on Casual Mondays sometime.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I got one of them new transparent analog pockets in the mail.
Hell yeah, man.
Cool.
That's really cool.
I can see it, so obviously it's not that transparent.
Do they have any sort of I don't know. I don't know if this is even needed, but can you like do a backup and a restore on those things? Were you able to just move stuff over? Is it pretty straightforward?
I just popped my SD card in there, which had the update file on it. So as soon as I booted it up, it updated to the latest version of the firmware.
Cool.
And is ready to go.
Nice, man.
All of the cores and stuff are on the SD card. So
gotcha.
Yeah, it's real easy to go to a new one, and because you can also just play your cartridges on that.
Well, cartridges, right? Yep.
Those will also work.
Yeah. There's a really handy tool for Windows that is just like it's a script that just runs and installs like any available updates, any updates to cores and stuff directly to your computer. Then just drag and drop it onto the SD card. It's good to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's Dancing Duelist, free on itch. You can play it on
Duelist.
And you can play it on Linux, Mac, and Windows. Go check that out. All right, I got a couple updates here. Chase, one of those I'm going to leave till the end to kind of segue into you. But I did. We've talked a lot about this game, but I just want to kind of give like a wrap up if I could on it. I completed the Phantom Liberty DLC and as well as the additional changes they've made. I beat the actual core.
The 2.0 update.
Yeah, for Cyberpunk 2077. And I got to tell you, I feel pretty comfortable saying that I think this is one of the best one of those games I've played. It is incredibly impressive to see how they've turned this thing around. And it is some of the best writing and like side character development I've seen in a game like this. It was almost criminal to go to this game after playing Starfield to see how good one of these can be in comparison to that. And
we sure turned a corner on Starfield.
Boy, howdy. I'll tell you this much. I think the Phantom Liberty storylines, because it's branching, there's a lot of choices that you can, just much like the core gameplay here, there's a lot of different endings you can get. And I rolled 2 different endings on the DLC, and I just really loved how they handled stuff with it. It's incredibly impressive. The game is so much fun. I got most of the iconic weapons now. Also, that's kind of been the thing I've been doing, is just wrapping up that and getting some really neat vehicles. Just a hell of a thing. Like, if you've been on the fence about playing Cyberpunk, I think it is completely safe to go and check that thing out.
That is what I'm hearing. I've heard some people who have said I got in and it made me upgrade all my skills and I had to redo a bunch of stuff. And they did, and it was fine. And I've heard people say that they thought, I'll just start it. I'll just completely restart the game. And they also had a great time doing that as well.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
You all know I beat it last year when Edge Runners was out, and I had a lot of points that basically when I fired it up after, it's like, hey, we need to re-roll, and you immediately get a phone call from your Ripper Doc friend. And he's like, hey, some shit's kind of came to light in the community on like how we can do some of these upgrades. Stop by any Ripper Doc and we'll help you out with it. And that's because they overhauled that. Mm-hmm. And so I sat tight on my points for a bit, did a little research on like where I wanted to, because I played it a very particular way the first time. Went to the Ripper Doc, got a good handle on it, and man, I really understood like how all that system worked with the components. And then I made a build that was basically David from the show, which was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm doing too.
It's so, dude.
CD Projekt even has like a tool that allows you to like craft.
They do. It's
outside
awesome.
The game, right?
It's so fucking cool.
The reworking of the skill tree is insane. It's like
one of the things they did with that,
yeah,
when they did their like leading up to launch, they did a lot of YouTube videos on the changes, and any of the developers that were doing the presentation, they put a link to the build of the character in the video that you could go and like see how they made their builds using that tool you mentioned, Chase, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that I've been basing my character off of, is the bullet time ninja.
Yep, that's what I did. It was so much fun. So that's a really cool thing to check out. I think that everybody should.
Now I know Bobby said we got Game of the Year coming up really close, and one of the categories we've done in the past, not saying that we're going to do it this time, has been best additional content. Now, this is probably something that might get talked about then, but I do want to note none of us have played the new Redfall update, so we
not even
know
Pete Hines.
if it's actually the best. So
that is actually
true.
Pete Hines retired. He's going to become a Redfall streamer full time.
I think that's what I heard. Yeah.
Fair. So that is something
to be out of the public spotlight. Boom. Oh,
wow.
Because no one will be watching, right? Come on.
I want to talk to you all about a game called Outpath that came out on the 16th of October. It is put out by David Morleo. I'm probably pronouncing this terribly. Sanchez. Apologies for butchering the name. It is published by Grab the Game, and I played a demo or a prologue months ago. Chase and I checked this out on the Next Fest stream we did 2 weeks ago. This is, as they say, an experimental clicker base building game. You craft, gather, and manage resources. You build your base and buy more islands to exploit and expand. This is pure crack. I'm just going to call it out right now. This is pure crack cocaine. This is an addictive fucking thing that I am not proud that I'm playing, but I'm happy I'm playing. And here's why it's even more so crack cocaine. It is literally those games without all the bullshit around it. You don't have to remember birthdays or town events. You don't have to do a whole lot. You just fucking click. And boy fucking howdy, I have been clicking and clicking and clicking. And I click and I think I'm done. And I just continually click. Sure. What I like about this game is you are collecting XP with everything that you do. And XP is your
collect some XP.
Give me the XP. It is your currency that you're using to upgrade basically recipes, because you have your standard workbench, you have your anvil, you have your furnace, but the game is like 3 or 4 very small islands when you first start. And it's got trees, grass, stone, coal, copper, some bugs, and that's it. But there's the huge. There's a couple totem. There is a totem with little miniature totems around it that you can feed your XP into to expand these islands. And when you expand your islands, new resources show up, or you can spend your XP to basically branch out what you're capable of building, improving your tools, making beds, that sort of thing. And it starts off pretty barren, but you eventually get the materials to craft actual bridges and other shit between these islands. It's got a hell of a look to it, I think. It's a very 3D, 2D, like it's interesting what choice they've gone with for it. But man, it is just a very good, like, Bobby, it's time to shut your brain off for a while. You've been too confused today. You need to just click. And click I did.
So I was looking at the reviews. So you're speaking about its addictive properties.
Yeah.
I'm seeing people here. It just released yesterday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's multiple people with like 20 hours.
Dude. Well, does that include whatever they put in on the demo version?
So the demo that came out for Steam, I can confirm when I downloaded the full game, my save was there from the demo.
Okay. So some of those 20 hours might be suspect, but the
Next
point is people
was
are playing a lot of this game.
Yes.
Yeah. Someone said it's called Outpath because when I get out of school, I would take a path straight to my desk.
Fair. Yes. It's really cool, man. Like, if you've enjoyed things like Minecraft and Factoria and all that shit, like
I was waiting to hear you talk about this because it was really late the other night.
Yeah.
And I saw it said Bobby Outpath. Seeing this, like, what degenerate shit is he getting into? At this
You know
part?
exactly. What
I'm
degenerate shit.
sinning. I'm up sinning, Johnny.
This is like the equivalent of when
Clicking and
Chase messaged
sinning.
me, and he's like, I didn't make changes to that magic deck, but maybe
It's
I spent
this.
like 2
Look,
hours.
we all got our
Changes that.
fucking fixes, all right, man. And what I do between the hours of 1 and 4 in the morning, you don't fucking
Nobody's
worry about.
business. Just
It's my
do
own. Any questions?
It is. No, none. It is incredible. I mean, I've mentioned the story a handful of times, but when I played Forager, I got caught, and it hooked me hard, and I played that game as many hours as possible. Even when I was on vacation, I went to New York City, a city I've never been to, a city that is huge and you could explore forever. And I think at least half of my time spent in New York was on my buddy's couch as I just played more Forager.
Fuck yeah. So yeah, Outpath. I didn't mention the price for it. There is a demo still you can download. It's on sale right now for $13.49. I do think this is PC only right now. But I think it was one guy. I think this one guy made this, which is really impressive. So check that out if you will. Lastly, nice. I've talked about this game a lot, but I am going to Chase up here and say Chants of Sinar is one of the coolest games that came out this year, and I had the pleasure of seeing credits on that over the weekend, and I am thrilled to have played that game.
Yeah, I too finished it over the weekend, and I had a really solid time with it. I think it is. We've talked about it before. It is incredibly striking from a visual standpoint. It's gorgeous. It's got that kind of sable look to it. Yep. Without the lower.
My wife
rate.
said, "Oh, this reminds me of Monument Valley" when she saw me playing it.
Sure.
Yeah,
I could totally see that, especially some specific scenes where it kind of zooms out a little.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we've told this story before too. We had our preview, our October preview, and we thought the game looked pretty basic and boring. And I will continue to say, I think the things that you do in that game are very simple puzzle stuff. Raising and lowering water levels, going to this and hitting a switch, then going over here and hitting a switch. But it's okay because the game's central mechanic is not the puzzly stuff. It is this language idea. And Bobby's talked about it on the show before, so we don't need to get too deep into it. But the way they integrate all the language stuff into what you're doing from a moment-to-moment standpoint, from walking around and talking to NPCs, like this is a game where I talk to every NPC possible.
Yes.
Which as a person who plays, things like Pokemon games, like I don't need to hear what these motherfuckers have to say. I'm just going to keep walking. I know how to catch a Pokemon. I know that potions heal 20 hit points. You don't need to tell me that. Yeah. But with Chance, it was like I want to talk to everybody because either they're going to help me with some sort of context for the words I do have, or they're going to teach me a new word that I can start looking out for. And I think that was really cool to just kind of be curious about a game world and the game's people and the world itself, like just to walk around and look at signage and go, okay, that's like there's clearly a fork and knife next to that symbol. That's symbol is probably like cafeteria or something, and then to get confirmation, or even better, to get something that goes, well, it's not exactly that, it's actually this other thing, but you were close, you were on the right track. And it's just with this additional information, you're like, oh, that's what it meant. I see now. It didn't mean eat, it meant food. Okay.
But you might have had situations where you wrote down eat, and so you're like in your brain when you see it's like, okay, they're talking about something with this. And the one thing that like I want to just highlight, and I probably talked about this, so I'm going to double down on it. This game is incredibly approachable for being as complicated as it is. And I think about a game like The Witness, where like I know Chase, you got pretty far in that, if not completed it, and I felt like the witness sometimes made it feel like you're not smart enough to know what to do here. Where what I like about Chance, and I haven't played Oberdin, so I don't know if it's the same there, but it was also similar in the case of the Golden Idol. I approached my theory and logic in Chance of Sonar the same way I did when I've been in countries where I did not know the language. I would look for visual things. I would try and see what activities were taking place out front of it. And I would kind of deduct like, okay, I think this is maybe that, until I could see something with it. And I would piece together parts of it. And I approached that this way, the same. Like when I would write something down in the journal, I never felt like, oh, you got that wrong, you dumb fuck. I'm like, I think this will help me. I think this is going to help me get to the right outcome here. And as I was talking to people, I would go back to your point and talk to prior people to see my words kind of come up in that way. Like, does that make any sense at all? And that's how I kind of brute forced some of this. And it felt so fucking cool when it all clicks in, because then it's like, fuck, I can talk to this person now. I didn't know what you were saying, but like, I get what you're saying now. That makes sense. And that was really cool. Like, I just love how they do that.
Yeah, that approachability word that you're using, I think, is interesting, because for the most part, I was able to get through this game on my own. There were a handful of times where I did need to consult a guide, just because something was a little esoteric. Oh, I had to go look at that thing after I've already solved the puzzle to learn this one other thing that I needed.
For sure.
The game does kind of allow you to brute force it in some small ways, where there will be scripted events where your character opens up the notebook that they have, and they have little drawings next to places where you can put your symbol words. And when you get 3 or 4 or 5 of them right on the 2-page spread that you've got, they lock in, and then those words are like, okay, this one we know means bed, this one we know means instrument, whatever. And now when you're in the game world, it just has those words translated when you see them
100%
automatically, instead of your
Kinda
guesses,
like,
which is really
Outer
cool.
Wilds?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But it does allow you to brute force in a way. It's like, well, I definitely know what these 2 symbols are, because I've seen what they've done before. But this last one, I have no idea. I didn't see the context for it, but I can run down the whole list of words I do have. And so on that one, it's like, I didn't really learn that word, but it's fine. I kind of solved the puzzle in a different way. But there are just some places where that's not impossible. It's just there were places where I was like, I really just don't know what to do here, and I consult a guide, and I'm like, yeah, I never would have figured that out. But whereas something like The Witness, where you mentioned that, is, I think that game was generally pretty solvable when you came up to it, except for the fact that there were sometimes puzzles that just, okay, I don't know anything about these puzzles, or not even not knowing, having an inability. I know there are people who are colorblind who talked about, there's just like a straight up set of puzzles where it's all about color. I can't physically do that one. For me, I just could not tell the sound ones. Like there was one where like you're supposed to hear the bird calls, and I cannot see music on a scale in my head like that. So when it was like, oh, you got to figure out how they do, like, which was it the 5 octaves? I don't even fucking know what I'm talking about. But it's like, is it this one or is it this one? And I'm like, I don't know.
Did you have?
Just tell me the answers. I don't want to do this anymore.
In Chance, did you have a favorite language?
Yeah, I mean that's another thing I feel like we should talk about, is that it's kind of got like a Tower of Babel theme, where you're going up this big tower, and the tower has been separated into different chunks, and each of those chunks has a different people and a different language associated with it. That and because they're cut off from each other in a Tower of Babel sort of way, you have to kind of go through and use, like, usually when you get to the next place, you barely ever have to think about the last language you learned. Right. But there will be some instances where it's like, okay, I do need to kind of translate this. Or sometimes there's like a Rosetta Stone kind of thing here. One that I really liked was when you get to the 3rd area, the gardens, where it says, the whole language from the past place you were, which is the more warrior language. And so you get up here and there's this big sign, and I can read the stuff that says warriors are not allowed past this point. And then there's garden
so
language
cool.
above that, the bard language.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, well, that gives me a handful of words that, because
Yeah.
obviously these words translate to each other, and it gives you like a set of like, all right, I think I've got enough to go on with some of these things, and that's pretty cool. I don't know if there was a particular language that I liked more than the others. Just from like a visual standpoint, I think the gardens were just a really cool area that I liked exploring.
Yeah.
I also really liked the first area too. Just
Mhm.
that, like, I think that kind of Middle Eastern style look was really really cool. Whereas something like the stealth heavy stuff that you had to do in the second area was not my favorite, but
Yeah.
I mean, I still had a lot of fun throughout
Yeah.
the whole game.
I think I had about 8 or 9 hours at the end of this. And Johnny, I can't recommend this one enough. I think you'd like it.
Downloaded. I will play it.
I will say between this Viewfinder and Cocoon,
I have played Viewfinder.
There's just some fucking
there's some
great
really cool indie games this year.
like puzzle indie games. I think really cerebral. Well, two of them are kind of cerebral. This one's not as much, but
the entire time you two were having that discussion, I was just like, man, I'm sad I can't participate because this sounds very cool.
It's really cool.
It's a good time, and it is relatively short, and it has some places where it's easy to go, oh, okay, well this is a session where I can stop, especially when you go between the different areas.
Some good cutoff.
Bobby and I haven't even mentioned the last area or the stuff that happens near the end, and I don't want to because I'd like to keep that secret for some people, but that game has some real cool stuff in it. I would say don't worry though. Like, you use a guide when you need it.
Yeah,
100%. It's not a big deal. And you'll have a great time.
Ruining anything for yourself?
No, and there's still cool shit that you get to see when you do that too. Like,
I do think the
guides. Keep that in mind.
The guides that I looked at all kind of sucked in various ways because some of them will just out and out tell you exactly what a word means as soon as you see it, which is not how the game works. And then other ones will try to go, well, this could mean this, so let's just think about that. And like, no, you're just giving it away. Okay, whatever. So I tried to only use it when I literally do not know where to go next, and then
that's what I did.
A lot of the guides have a bunch of screenshots with them too, so it's easy to just go, okay, they went to this room next. I'll explore that room a little bit more, and we'll see what happens.
I liked it when they were like, if you need to learn what this word is, maybe go here versus like, this is what the word. Okay, that's what I want to know. Like, I want to learn the word. Tell me where to go to learn the word. That was cool.
And there was also one section where I was like, I'm not going to do math. No, thank you. I will just look up this one. It's probably really cool for somebody who wants to do the calculations. I'm not going to do that. That's not my bag.
He's very good at he's other running calibrations. That's a game I think we'll be talking about in like 7 episodes. So
stop saying
that. Chase, what else have you been up to, man?
I played a new game from one of my favorite developers. I know his name is Martin Johnson. I don't think that's the name of his. It might be like Martin Games or something. The maker of Hold Down. Hold Down, one of my favorite games of all time. A game that I still play to this day. Goddamn, I love Hold Down. He made a new game. It's called Subpar Pool, which is a funny little twist on words. Which I
I didn't realize this is on Steam.
Is it? Yeah, I guess
it's on the Switch too.
Yeah, it's probably okay on Switch, but it plays nicely on a phone and an iPad, which is where I played it. So Subpar Pool, the idea here is that it is pool, as in billiards, meets golf. So the subpar is not that the game is bad. The subpar is that you're trying to get under par, like in golf. It's cute. The tables themselves, though, are not traditional pool tables. They are
putt golf.
Kinda, yeah. They've got like mini golf course feelings to it, where sometimes they go in weird ways, or some courses have weird mechanics.
God, it's cool.
It's got some really neat ideas to it. So like, there's a course that has like these portals that go like you hit a ball down here and then it comes out here or whatever. And the idea here is, you have your cue ball and you're trying to knock all the balls that are on each table into the pockets, which are also golf holes. And so you're playing pool essentially, and you're doing angles and things like that, and it gives you kind of like a Peggle style. Okay, here's where your ball's going to go, but we're not going to give you a lot of information. We're just going to give you a little to get you started. So if you want to do like some crazy bank shots or something, you still have to kind of line that up in a way that you're taking a guess. Yeah. But then what I think is really cool in this game is, the gameplay itself is fine. It functions pretty darn well. It's weird for somebody who's going to it from hold down, because hold down is a lot of holding the direction and letting go, and then the shot goes. Whereas this one is no, you keep lining up the shot and you have to double tap to get the shot going.
That fucked me up a little bit too.
Yeah, so it's like, oh god, I gotta get it just right, and then I let go, and I'm like, go, and it's like, no, I'm not going yet. You haven't told me to hit it. But what's really neat here is when you before you start a new course, you can turn on or off a bunch of modifiers, and in fact, as you keep playing the game, you unlock the ability to use more modifiers in one run, and they call them cards. So you can activate these different cards, and some cards can change the way, like they're mutators more or less. So like one of them is called Chonker.
Chonker's a good boy.
That sounds good.
One of the pool balls is replaced by a giant pool ball
with a mustache.
With a mustache. That's very important.
Thank you.
They're all anthropomorphized. They all have eyes and mouths and faces. But this guy, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's very good.
I don't have my iPad with me. I will.
But he's
Get it on your phone.
He's heavier. He's heavier. He doesn't roll as far. When you hit him, you have to hit him with a little bit more force than other pool balls. There's another one called Hunter, and this one like tracks your cue ball when it gets in the range of it. So you have to kind of start to take that into consideration as you play. There's another one that doesn't allow your cue ball to at the start of any run, you're able to set your cue ball like you would if you scratched in pool or at the beginning of a pool game. And this one says, no, we're going to set you where we think you go, and then you have to figure it out from there. So there are all these different little modifiers that you can turn off and on as you play. And then the game also just has a what's the game? What's the bullet storm? It has the bullet storm. What if we just put in a bunch of crazy trick bullshit in here too? So now if I get this ball in, and then on my next shot I get that ball in, okay, that's a back-to-back, so I get some more points for that. Or if I do this bank shot, then you get a bank shot.
I call those bank skis.
But then you can also just pile all of these on, so I can get a bank shot, long shot, back-to-back, and if it went through a portal, that's another thing, and they can just keep stacking on. So that's really cool too. And then even in addition to all of the stuff that we mentioned, the game has a handful of challenges on different cards as you play that says, okay, you've chosen this modifier. We're going to challenge you. It's an optional challenge, but it's going to stay there until you complete it. This challenge of, okay, with the chonker that you've activated, now you have to have the chonker knock another ball into one of the hole/pockets, and you have to do that 3 times over the course of one run, which is like 4 or 5 tables.
It's so
and
good.
If you complete that, great, you can get a new challenge somewhere else, or if you don't complete it, okay, you have to do that challenge again. But there's so many things that it allows you to keep unlocking. Another one of the cool things, if you don't want to do all that bullshit and you just want to play the game, you can just say, hey, unlock everything. Just give me all the cards, give me all the slots. I just want to play the game. So you can do that too. Mm-hmm. It's got a real cool look to it.
I will be doing that when we quick look it, because I just bought the PC version of it, and I'll just unlock everything for when we quick look this.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say it's not going to be my hold down replacement. Like, hold down has it's a different style of game for me.
It's a different.
That is something I can go back to all the time. Would you say that
this is a subpar replacement for hold down?
Oh my god.
No, I would not.
Hold down is Chase's crack cocaine. This is just some weed.
It is. This is a game that I'm gonna keep playing until I finish it, and then I think I'm done with it. But I'm having a real good time. Hold down is like a different thing that I just play all the time.
That's a forever game.
Subpar Pool fucking rules. $5.
Subpar Pool does rule. It's good.
$5 on mobile, $10 on PC. I would bet $20 on Switch. Let's see here. Let's
Hold
see.
Down came to Switch too.
$10 on Steam, or $10 on Steam, $10 on Switch.
Okay, nice.
So, and I wonder if it'll use touchscreen on Switch.
It might. I believe Hold Down had touchscreen support. In fact, I'm almost positive it did.
Johnny, I think that you should show this to Misty. I think that the style of it, the artwork of this, there's a lot that happens on the borders of the courses that Chase talked about that remind me of kind of like the summer camp wedding vibes that you all had, that I think that she would really fucking dig. And if I remember correctly, she did
fun like cartoon face stuff.
She did like an ice rink character at one point in time, like years ago. I remember the artwork reminds me a lot of what she did there.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get this on my iPad
for sure.
Yep. And I will show it to her.
It's a cool game. And then one more thing I want to talk about is a game that landed on the wheel this month, which was my Pokemon ROM hack. And I decided to play Pokemon Emerald Rogue, which is a roguelike Pokemon ROM hack that somebody made. And it is one of the coolest things I have ever played. It is so interesting. Basically, they took Hades and Pokemon and said, what if they were the same? What if we put them together?
Johnny's looking at that transparent blue fucking pocket thinking, what are you talking about over there, Chase?
I have spent a lot of time on my analog pocket playing this game. It's real good. So the idea here is there's a hub world, and you walk around that hub world, and you can buy things, like you can buy upgrades. Okay. You start the game and you go to the professor, and the professor's got 3 Pokemon for you. Are you with me so far? Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I'm down.
The Pokemon are semi-randomized in that you don't get every single Pokemon available to you. But my Pokemon that I had as options were Ammonite, Squirtle, or something else that was garbage. I chose Ammonite because I thought, okay, if this is a roguelike, having a rock type to
rock or hard
some
place
stuff down would be useful, and water's a good type for stuff too. So even though I like Squirtle, let's go with this Ammonite. Did we just lose picture on everything?
Nope.
Okay, it's back now. Good. Okay, everything's fine. So I picked Ammonite and I go on a run, and in that run you find Pokeballs in the world. Like you get into like an overworld area that shows you some different things, which you can go into different routes, or potentially similar to other roguelikes that we've played, Bobby. You have like, oh, this can go to a shop area, or this can go to a challenge area.
Sure.
And you can do those things too. So you go into one of the routes and it says, okay, this is like an average gloomy route, and you're like, okay, let's see what that means. And you start going through, and there will be a handful of Pokemon that are in this route that you can catch. There will also be a bunch of items on the ground. There will be some trainers that you can fight. Very, very Pokemon stuff. It's got a little bit of Nuzlocke in there, in that if one of your Pokemon faints, it's gone. It just gets iced out of your party, so you never see it again. So one of the first actual fights I did, somebody just KO'd the fuck out of my Ammonite, and I was that. And then I got back to the menu, and it's just gone. It's just out of my party. That's not good. But you can catch other Pokemon, and you have them in your party, and then you start finding more items, and you're also leveling up those Pokemon. But the level ups cap at certain points. Like when you're in each route, it says, okay, you can only get to level 15 at this point. So you've gotten so far, you've maybe evolved a thing. The level ups happen really, really quickly. So everything moves at a nice pace. But then finally you finish that route, and now you've got some other routes that you can go to, or you can do those shops. You gain money from beating trainers, so you can use that stuff in your run. And then
That's
eventually
clever.
you face a gym battle. And if you beat that, you get like a second round of, okay, now you go through that kind of thing again to face another gym leader. And you'll start collecting even more Pokemon as you go and start evolving things, or maybe you'll buy a TM and use that TM on one of your Pokemon and spend that money. So you play that until you lose. And when you lose, you go back out to like a Safari Zone kind of thing where it's like, okay, yep, your run's over. It's time for you to go back out. It kicks you back to the hub world and it goes, okay, you won 2 gym badges in that run, which equates to this much money in the hub. You've lost everything else except your Ammonite, but we'll give you this much money because you got that far. And now you can go into the hub world and you can buy stuff to level up either your Ammonite, or you can go to an actual Safari Zone and catch other Pokemon that you saw on your run. And you can use those as a partner Pokemon to start with. You only get the one Pokemon to start with. So I could put my Ammonite in a box and I can take out a Houndour, which was one of the Pokemon I found. It's like, hell yeah, Fire Dark, baby. That's the killer right there. But you can also buy TMs in the hub world. And when you buy a TM in the hub world, you have that TM forever. You still only have one use of it, but you have that one use every time you go into the run. So I bought a TM for Ice Beam, which means I could put that Ice Beam on my Ammonite as soon as I start, and then I've got Ice Beam on Ammonite, or I can hold that Ice Beam until I find a Pokemon in the run that I would like to use it on, and then I can use it then. So everything you do in a run kind of doesn't matter except to get you as far as you can in that run, but everything you do in the hub world, similar to Hades, is permanent. So you can keep upgrading the stuff that you have. You can even get rare candies, so I could get my Ammonite up to like level 40 or something to begin a run and just have this Pokemon that is an absolute monster that just rolls over a bunch of shit as you play.
You've tempted me, he says.
Yeah, it's really cool. There are other places where it's like, oh, a really strong Pokemon lives here, and you go in there, and I fought a Heracross, and I was able to catch it. And I was like, okay, nice, I have this Heracross for this run. And there was another one where it was like, okay, here's like a really challenging trainer, and if you beat that trainer, you then get a chance to catch a legendary. So I caught a Zapdos after beating that trainer, and I was like, fuck yeah, I've got this Zapdos now. I can't fucking lose. And then I absolutely lost. But even further in that run, I lost the Zapdos, and I got to another place where it was the professor again, and he said, hey, I have these 3 Pokemon that I found that you let die, you son of a bitch. You can pick up any one of these Pokemon again and revive it. But when you pick them up, it had a curse that got added to it. So I got that Zapdos back. Awesome. But now I also have to pay 10% more at all the shops on this run that I'm on. So it does come with a cost, even if I can get one of my great Pokemon back. It makes you battle in a really cool way, like you're doing a Nuzlocke where every battle really counts. And because it has level caps, you can't just run over everything unless you want to, because in the hub world, you can say, yeah, turn over leveling off that. I just want to roll these motherfuckers. It's so cool. I'm having such a fucking blast with it. It's such a cool experience, and I can't wait to play more. I'm gonna write a whole lot about this game, I imagine.
I would imagine you would.
Yeah, I'm having an absolute blast. It's one of the coolest things I've ever played.
Hell yeah. Well, Chase, that sounds awesome. You've had some fun stuff that you covered tonight. Let's turn the corner to the news and then get the hell out of here.
Let's go. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Okay. They sold 1 Wii U this year.
1 billion Wii U's. Incredible, Nintendo. Great job.
Nope, just one.
1 million?
Nope. Singular.
One.
Yeah, I like this came up yesterday, I think. And I was like, who is this person? I want to talk to them. Where did they buy it? Because it had to come from a retailer that tracks this stuff.
Right. I think that would be my bigger question is...
It's not just like a pawn shop. It's just
who's putting out a retail brand new Wii U?
And how much did they pay for it? That's... I'm so fascinated by this.
I just hope that whoever that person was, they also bought a copy of Tokyo Mirage Session Showcase.
Of course they wouldn't, Chase. They have fucking taste. They bought a Wii U.
You buy a Wii U for that game. I mean, it's on the Switch. You don't have to buy that.
Yeah,
What games are still?
You know where it's
locked
on
to
the
Wii
wheel.
U?
Ooh, not many.
It's Xenoblade Chronicles X, right? Like it's just that one.
I think that's the big one.
Everything else has come over in.
They
some
really
form
just
or
wanted to
fashion
play
that
fucking
matters.
Wind Waker HD. That's what they got it for.
Yeah.
Oh, that is. You know what? That's a good one. That's another one that's
Yeah.
weirdly not come back
Come on,
over. Yeah.
Nintendo, you cowards.
What's going on over there at Microsoft?
They are
Only good stuff.
They're consolidating their power.
Thanosoft.
The gaming wars press ever on. Activision, Blizzard King, that deal finally went all the way through, and all of those studios and properties that they owned now are Microsoft property.
I don't think that you had it at the time of this being added here, but Phil put out a statement today basically stating that nothing from that catalog would be on Game Pass until 2024.
Yes.
And they are going to, it sounded like they're going to be exploring potentially their older catalog of games that maybe there has not been new versions of those games or sequels, etc. They might be exploring bringing more of those older forgotten titles to the surface.
Kotick is also staying
till the end of the year
with the company until the end of 2023. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, Bobby.
Look, consolidation's scary, but I've mentioned on here before, I'm heavily invested in the Game Pass. I'm excited for this growing library in Game Pass, but I also recognize, due to some of the other stuff we're going to talk about, the unfortunate side of consolidation.
I feel like we've heard fewer. In fact, I can't think of any off the top of my head of layoffs at Microsoft-owned companies.
Mm-hmm. Much smaller.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I do see is they aren't making any games. they put all these studios and somehow
they're making them. Apparently,
they're hoarding them.
They're not putting them out.
Sitting on them like Smog in The Hobbit. Like they're just sitting on top of their pile of studios.
I mean, what are the Microsoft games that have come out recently? It's Forza?
And Forza Horizon 5,
Starfield,
Hi-Fi Rush,
Starfield.
Redfall?
Does Redfall count?
Yeah, I mean it's a game they put out. Not good.
I think like Obsidian's working on stuff.
It's incredible how many studios they have and how few games they still continue to.
I mean,
produce.
Sony has not put out more than Horizon DLC this year. They put out they're putting out Spider-Man. And then they had Final Fantasy as an exclusive. But if you talk about Sony-owned studios, they're just as far and few between this year. Nintendo's kind of running circles around everybody when it comes to
you're
to that.
Right, but also Sony doesn't have the bankroll and doesn't have the amount of studios that Microsoft has bought. So it's
totally.
It's
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that the standard
there's a
there
lot of
is
stuff in development that we've only seen previews of, or I feel like there's going to be a deluge coming sometime.
Someday, maybe.
And as Bobby alluded to, Epic bought Bandcamp for some reason less than a year ago. And Tim Sweeney came out a couple weeks ago and said, hey, I fucked up. So as a result of that, we're laying off all these people. And we're selling Bandcamp to some company called Song Trader. And
Web 2.0.
So you know it's cool. And that company purchased Bandcamp from Epic, and there's reporting that 50% of the staff.
So again, I got an update for us here. Yesterday, Bandcamp United put out a statement on X or Twitter. Today, Epic Games' sale of Bandcamp to Song Trader was closed, and at least half of Bandcamp's staff was laid off. This is heartbreaking. We love our jobs, the platform we've built, and the Bandcamp community. We're glad to have our union, coworkers who have each other's backs. We'll be moving together to decide what our next steps are. On Wednesday, we return to the bargaining table with Epic Games, and we will keep you updated. Love and solidarity to the whole Bandcamp community. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, it's just another example of the dangers of selling your company to a much larger company, and when they get what they want from you, whether it's
or like, even if they don't,
even if they like, I don't know why they bought it to begin with.
They didn't know why they bought it.
Yeah, and it sucks.
We just had this money laying around, and we felt like we had to use it, and we did, and now we don't want this anymore.
Because Bandcamp is kind of the only bastion for a lot of independent music. It was profitable. Like it worked.
They also did like Bandcamp Fridays where they did not get any of the proceeds. They went directly to the artist, which is awesome.
I mean, this is just the problem you get when you deal with publicly traded companies, because it's less about making a sustainable business, and it's more about making
infinite growth,
unreliable profits that will just continue to skyrocket. And the bad thing is, Epic makes so much fucking money. Like I
know, dude. It's fucking absurd.
They bring in so much goddamn money to the point where it's like, how is it possible that you would be put in a weird financial situation?
I mean, dude, they give away free games every fucking week, too.
Exactly. Yeah, it's somebody seeing a spreadsheet and going, Bandcamp is bringing in 1% of the revenue that we need, and Fortnite's bringing in 49%. We should be putting more money into Fortnite and zero money into Bandcamp. Yeah. And then a bunch of people lose their jobs, even though they've been doing their jobs exceptionally well and been running a great business.
It sucks.
Sad.
Anyway,
we'll be seeing hopefully tomorrow some updates there on what's going on with it, but Johnny, appreciate you pulling the news together. We had a ton of fun tonight talking about some really cool games. There's a lot of stuff that we hope you get to check out on one of those platforms that you own. If you need some things to do between now and then, Chase and I returned to Prize Fighters on our Casual Monday stream yesterday. You can check that out right here on Twitch. We have a quick look going up tomorrow for Cocoon, a game that we mentioned briefly earlier from a puzzling standpoint. Last week, Chase was gushing about Suika Game, and you're going to get to see why on Thursday on our YouTube page. And
get back to that.
And getting back to things, the Casual Friday crew is heading back into Remnant 2. We had a lot of fun last week, and I am eager to play more of Remnant 2 because I'm really taking a liking to what that game's doing. I think it's very cool. So you can hang out with us and our friend Jason on Friday night as we explore looking for more of those keys. Chase, you got anything fun and exciting going on your end?
No, not yet. But in the meantime, I will, it's not a news story exactly, but I will shout out one thing. It is currently FEE3 right now, which is Fire Emblem E3, which is a fan project thing that's going on.
Gross time.
Yeah, probably. Just try to go to Fire Emblem Universe on YouTube. Fire Emblem is one word in that. But that is a channel that the Fire Emblem Universe website that kind of collects a bunch of ROM hacks and stuff that people are doing, and is a community forum. They put this on each year where it shows off what a bunch of creators are doing. So they either show off some of the stuff that they have works in progress, or they show off as a couple of people did. Hey, I made some new GBA style animations that you can download and use in your own ROM hacks. Or some people are like, hey, we completed this game, or we have a new patch update for this game that we're putting out. So there's a ton of trailers. They keep putting them out. I don't remember how long this keeps going on, but it's been going on for like a week so far, and every 6 hours they put out another trailer. So there's a ton of stuff. They all have the FEE3 tag on them, so you can search through them through that way too. Some of the stuff looks terrible. Some of the stuff looks incredible, and it's kind of a fun thing that I've been doing. Is like every 6 hours, I wonder if it's going to be something good or something garbage. But you'll get to see people do like, oh, hey, here's this hack of this game that looks awful, but I'm gonna do like this low turn count version of chapter 7, and it's a 54-minute YouTube video, and I go, just tell me if the project's good or not.
Shorter than our show.
but almost all of them have links to the actual FE Universe page for these hacks and things like that. So you can go and read more about the projects there, download some patches. I've been doing a lot of that. I don't know when I'll ever play these games, but I keep downloading new patches and putting stuff in my analog pocket, and it's been great. So definitely check them out and see the stuff that they're doing, because some of it is really cool and really interesting.
Very cool. We will be back live on Friday with Remnant 2. Thank you all for hanging out. We will talk to you soon.